Hi everyone. So, as I have been introduced, I like a lot to travel into big cities and see how dynamic and vibes is it. How many of you here are into visiting city and walking in the streets? Can you please raise your hand for me? Can I see? Oh, I see a lot of people. Well, unfortunately for you guys, I'm not here today to talk about cities. I'm here today to talk about cells and how dynamic and fascinating it's a skeleton. So let's take a moment and imagine that each cell in our body is a tiny petite city. And each city has its own different functions and features. But for a city to function properly, there must be a way for goods and people to move from one point in a city to another. This is where the city's infrastructure such as metro lines, bridges, and streets comes in. By the way, cells also has its own infrastructure. And scientists like to give them a bit of fancy names or weird names. There is a huge debate, but they call them microtubules, intermediate filaments, and microfilaments. So let's talk about the metro lines of our cells. Let's talk about microtubules. Microtubules, they are the largest fibers in our cells, helping to transport important molecules such as proteins to where they need to go. For example, viruses are really sneaky. They are really smart. For them to be able to hijack and take control of our cities, they send their genetic materials from outside of the city to the center, to the city hall that's responsible of taking important decisions. Exactly like the nucleus in our cells. Second comes the intermediate filament, the bridges of our cells. They are important to keep everything intact and give the shape its integrity and shapes. And at the end, when you walk in the street of each city, you should remember the microfilament, which is a huge kind of network made of a tiny filaments made up of a protein called actin. And this network is important for the cell to provide a framework that enables the cell to maintain its shape and also move things around. For example, if a cell would like to move to a specific direction, all of these actin filaments rearrange themselves to create protrusions, and these protrusions allowing the cell to crawl forward. At the end of my talk, next time you are enjoying the summer vibes of Basel and how dynamic Basel is, just remember, you have millions of these tiny cities within you and you'll never be alone. Thanks a lot.